Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I know your conference is starting to wind down, but we're going to get it started going right away here. So we're going to talk about the future of integration, and just a bit of a spoiler, it is agentic. My name's Kent Weare. I'm a Principal Product Manager on the Azure Logic Apps team, joined by...
I'm Divya. I'm also Product Manager on Logic Apps team.
And yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so let's start with talking about the landscape today, right? Every organization, regardless of the domains they are in, they have business processes that run across multiple teams and multiple systems. And these systems often naturally don't talk to each other. So you need a platform that can bring these together, the systems, the services, as well as the teams and the people who are interacting with these systems. And that's where Logic Apps comes in. It's a cloud-based orchestration platform that acts as a connective tissue that brings all of these systems together and allows you to orchestrate the entire process, starting from the trigger to the final outcome. Logic Apps has over 1,400 connectors, which makes this really easy for you to build and hence gives you the developer productivity that you look for. Along with that, the workflows that allow you to orchestrate these different steps together. Now, workflows are everywhere now, and workflows are not new, right? Deterministic workflows have always been there, used by the industries, and they continue to be the backbone of automation. They are perfect and will remain perfect for problems that require structured, rule-based processing so that they can deliver consistency and at scale. But what AI brings is the ability to automate a new category of problems and processes, or enhance your existing business processes that were previously either too complex to automate, or they required dynamic nature in terms of how they went. And agentic workflows allow you to do that because they can understand the context and can adjust the path based on the information that is provided to them. So they interpret, they decide, and they adapt in ways that were simply not possible before. And what this means is that in real world, when you think about this, you can essentially apply this to your real world problems. Employee onboarding, for example, which was traditionally a process that required people to go through a set of steps, can now be automated with agents and can be personalized as you're onboarding different people to your organization, so that you can summarize policies, you can tailor training, you can in fact apply security policies and everything depending on the employee you're onboarding to. Likewise, insurance claims is another example of processes of industry domains where you are probably processing hundreds or thousands of documents in unstructured data, applying policies, and making decisions. And all of this is 80% of the time follows a fixed path, but then you always have these 20% of edge cases where you need that adaptive reasoning where things go outside the edge. And that's where agents are adapt, because they can take that into consideration and adapt dynamically based on those inputs and based on the desired outcomes. And everything that I just mentioned becomes possible with Agent Loop in Azure Logic Apps. So this is a capability that we released at Microsoft Build earlier this year. And this basically allows your workflows to become goal-driven. So you essentially provide your workflows goals or what you want to achieve, provide them the model or the brain, which is via the LLM, and then all the context in terms of knowledge and tools for them to take actions. So with this, your workflows become smart, become intelligent, and can take advantage of the large language models. They become intelligent because they are able to interpret the data and reason on top of it and then take actions or make recommendations. With Logic Apps, these workflows can also become conversational and interact with each other as well as with agents and humans on the other side. And finally, when you want to solve problems which require more than one agent, then the workflow in Logic Apps allow you to bring in multiple agents and have them collaborate with each other to achieve those desired outcomes. So with that, we'll jump into a demo where we want to show you how all these things come together in action.
Yeah, so this demo or this use case is inspired by some work that we've done with one of our large banking customers in Canada, and it has to do with wealth management. So if you think of a wealth manager, they're typically working with customers and helping them prioritize their retirement goals and their portfolio. As you can imagine, there's a lot of different systems that they need to actually go ahead and touch in order to give them a great customer experience. So that's what we've done here is we've built a conversational agent that is actually going to allow this wealth manager to actually go ahead and manage their customers and all of those different interactions without actually having to leave their agent experience. So let's flip over to our screen. And so what we have on screen here is Azure Logic Apps. We're in the designer, and we're looking at the agent loop experience. So we have a trigger, and this is going to leverage the A-to-A protocol, which allows us to have a conversation with it, but also enables those agent-to-agent different architectures as well. Next, we have the agent loop action. And as part of this action, we go ahead and provide a connection to an AI model. Now, in this case, we're using GPT-4.1. The next thing that we need to do is go ahead and provide a system prompt or instructions for our agent. Now, here we're just going to go ahead and outline that you are a wealth manager agent. And one thing that we do want to impose is that the agent sticks to the script. So the script being the standard operating procedures. Now, what does that look like? It can be as simple as a Word document. So here we've got a Word document that just outlines the business process. And if we think about how we want to use agents, we want it to align to the business process, and we can provide those instructions in natural language. So instead of doing all of those different conditions that we've done before, if then else, well, we can actually describe that in natural language and actually use the agent to go ahead and execute that process for us. So this is just a Word document, and this gets surfaced as a tool. So here we've got a series of tools that are available for our agent, and we've got this tool to get the business process, in this case from SharePoint. But then we have other tools that help with retrieving meeting notes or creating opportunities in Salesforce, getting meeting transcripts, creating pre-briefing documents, checking calendars, booking meetings, and getting customer details. So let's head over to our chat surface here. And so this is going to be an authenticated chat surface, so I'm logged in as myself. And back to that whole standard operating procedures comment, let's go ahead and see if I can order coffee. I like coffee. I could go for coffee now. But what's going to happen here is that our agent is going to look up in the standard operating procedures and see, hey, that's not part of my scope. So if we think about guardrails, this is one way that you can go ahead and sort of help with that. Now, more back to the demo, or more relevant sort of prompt would be, okay, how about retrieving account information and portfolio information for a customer named Jordan Avery? Now, what's happening in this call, even though that happened relatively quickly, there's a few things that are happening. We've got a tool that'll go ahead and retrieve account information. We have a tool that will go ahead and get contact information from Salesforce. And then we also have portfolio information that's being returned in a single call. And that wasn't something that was hard-coded. That was just the large language model that was going to go ahead and sort of look at the tools to see what I need to do in order to achieve that objective. So here we can see their portfolio. It's kind of heavily vested in tech. And we can see they've got NVIDIA. And I believe NVIDIA's had some recent news. So let's go ahead and just issue a prompt saying, any news for NVIDIA? I heard they had recent earnings. And so what's going to happen now is we're going to go out to the web and actually get some additional information about their earnings from NVIDIA. And we can go ahead and explore more of those links and information as we see fit. So next up, I want to go ahead and I've reviewed Jordan's portfolio. I've reviewed, kind of any news related to his portfolio. I want to go ahead and book a meeting with Jordan. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is issue a prompt that says, go ahead and check my calendar for December 1st I want to look for a 30-minute time slot. Now, what's happening here is that this is going to use a capability called on behalf of authentication. So because I'm logged in, it's actually going to go ahead and use my credentials, my security context, just at runtime to go ahead and retrieve availability from my calendar. So if you think about how you deploy this to your enterprise, you want these actions to run in the context of a logged in user, and that's what's happening here. So these are real-time availability coming from my calendar. So I think 8:30 sounds pretty good. So I'm going to say go ahead and book that meeting with Jordan at 8:30 a.m. But also, I want you to go ahead and create a pre-meeting briefing document that I can go ahead and review in advance of that meeting. So let's go ahead and kick this off. So once again, there's multiple things that are happening in the background here. It's going to actually go in and book that meeting with Jordan. It's also going to go ahead and generate a document for us and actually send it to my inbox that I can go ahead and review. And so here, it's just gone ahead and confirmed all of that information with us. And this is always dangerous doing this in a demo, but here's my inbox. And we can see that we just received this particular briefing document. We can go ahead, open it, review it, and make any additional notes if we wish. But now we can feel confident heading into that meeting with Jordan that we've got a firm agenda and I've got their portfolio and all their holdings, and also follow-ups from previous meetings as well. So I can go ahead and have that recap at my fingertips. Now, what's happened here is we've gone ahead, we've had this meeting, had it over Teams, and now what I want to do is be able to go ahead and obtain the meeting transcript from that particular meeting and actually go ahead and update that in Salesforce, our CRM, so that the next time we want to go ahead and meet with Jordan, we can actually go ahead and review those notes. So we'll go ahead and just issue this command. And what this is going to do is reach out to Graph API for that particular meeting, download the transcript, summarize it, and then actually upload it to Salesforce as an opportunity that's actually linked to our account. So if we head over to Salesforce, let's just do a refresh over here. We're actually going to see the summary that just happened here. So we've got the meeting from December 1st. And if we go ahead and click into this option, we can see all of the information that was captured and the things that were discussed. So this is just a great example of how you can actually go ahead and tap into your broad set of resources in your organization and actually bring a custom experience for your users that actually helps them to be more efficient. Now, one other thing I want to quickly just touch on is that during this event, you might have heard of a service called Foundry Control Plane. And the whole intent of this particular service is that as you go ahead and deploy more agents to your landscape, to your environment, to your enterprise, you want to be able to see those, regardless of where they were actually constructed. So that could be inside of Logic Apps as part of an agent loop. That could be SRE agent. That could be a Foundry agent. And what we do is we actually go ahead, when you save your agent loop in your agentic workflow, we actually go ahead and register that automatically with Foundry. So here we can actually go ahead and see, I do have that, that agent that I just demoed for you. We can go ahead and see that its source is Logic Apps agent loop. We can see that it's actually running. Now, if we did want to dive in a little bit deeper, we can click into it. We can see if there was any active alerts or any errors that took place over a specific time frame. And if for some reason we had concerns about this running as an administrator, I could go ahead and stop it. So kind of the key message here is that when you're building Logic Apps and you're building these agentic processes, you are connecting back to the broader Microsoft ecosystem. You're not on an island, and you can actually go ahead and see these inside of Foundry. And we've got a lot of other integrations with Foundry as well. So that's a brief demo, and we certainly have more demos for you throughout the course of the session.
So what you just saw was an example of how you can use Logic Apps and agent loop capabilities and build agentic workflows and take them into production. And we have a number of customers who are already on this journey, who are using these, who are using the workflow and agentic capabilities in Logic Apps for building different kind of agents for different kind of domains and for different scenarios. And these range from autonomous agents, which are completely running in background, reacting to events and doing intelligent processing on it, as well as conversational agents who are part of your ecosystem interacting with your employees or are external facing and interacting with your customers.
All right, so we'd like to welcome Eric on stage, Eric Summers. So he's joining us from Cideris, where they've got some particularly interesting use cases around cybersecurity. Yeah, come on stage, let's welcome Eric. So now, as you can imagine, managing cybersecurity threats is an incredibly complex topic where the volumes of threats continue to increase. We hear stories every day. And naturally, that continues to add stress to security and operational teams as they try to manage those threats. Now, there is some hope. There is some good news here. And that's why we've got Eric from Cideris here, who's going to talk about how they've been able to leverage Azure Logic Apps Agent Loop in order to help them address cyber threats. So Eric, would you mind just doing a brief introduction for us?
Sure, I'm Eric Summers. I'm a senior leader here at Cideris, specifically toward security orchestration and artificial intelligence. Company I work for, as you said, Cideris, managed cybersecurity services provider, and our mission for our clients is to stop threats.
Sounds good to me. So let's talk a little bit about the team. I think we jumped ahead. That built this particular solution. Can you tell us just a little bit of the makeup of your team?
Yeah, sure. So as you know, one of the more interesting things about Logic Apps is that we can bring cybersecurity expertise and get them closer to developing solutions closer to the problem. So traditionally, when you're thinking AI frameworks, you're thinking, I got to get my engineering teams involved. I need to get my cybersecurity guys talking with them and building solutions. That's a very long process. But with agentic loops, I can use something that cybersecurity professionals understand, which is low-code solutions, and they can actually use whatever they're dreaming, creating those solutions, quickly putting it into production, into something that scales just like any other system that's in production. High scalability, which is something that Logic Apps provides, and also fantastic results, great observability. And that's why we're bringing our cybersecurity professionals with agentic loops.
No, I love it. I feel that people that are closest to the problem are often in a good position to go ahead and solve those problems, given the right tools. So I know you brought a use case along with you, so do you mind just sharing a little bit about this particular use case with our audience?
Sure. So the use case that I am bringing today is the IOC Analyzer. What it does is it takes any alert, doesn't matter the vendor, does not matter if it comes from Microsoft or others, it will take that data, strip it for parts, and then figure out, do I have a hash, where do I bring it to, IP, so on. But one of the key things is that why it's called agentic loops, if it finds additional IOC information, it will go back through this whole process and actually go and analyze it. And that's one of the reasons why we use agentic loops instead of saying deterministic workflows, is because sometimes you can't actually predict the output you're going to get. And that is one of the biggest advantages of AI. It's incredibly agile, incredibly flexible. And sometimes you just don't know what to expect. And it can find threats that otherwise you wouldn't even dream of.
And yeah, that's amazing. And I would imagine as new threats emerge, it's going to go ahead and go through the similar process. So the solution sounds awesome. Can you tell us just a little bit about the benefits or some of the results that you've seen so far?
Sure. So probably some of the biggest benefits is the speed of execution from development to production. We are 23 agents in 6 months, wow. Over 100 workflows. In fact, I think it's 119. 10 are going into production today as we continue our migration path. We're seeing speed ups and throughput advantages versus our previous vendor, 2 to 3x times more alerts we can push down the system. The system scales incredibly well. Logic Apps, if I give it thousands of alerts, it will just scale up to meet that demand. Our previous provider couldn't do that. And the additional thing is that because of the way that Logic Apps is priced, there's a significant cost advantage versus other competitors, specifically in the security orchestration space. So we're very excited to be working with you guys and with Logic Apps because we've just seen so many various advantages.
No, amazing, amazing. So thank you so much for joining us on stage and sharing your story with us here today. Yeah, that's really music to my ears. I think it speaks to a lot of our core objectives when we've built Logic Apps and Agent Loop in particular, is how we can democratize building these solutions, getting them to market, getting them to production quickly, and then being able to realize substantial value. So that's, I think, a great example of that.
Yeah, and before we jump into the next segment, we just wanted to mention this. Earlier this week, we announced the general availability of Agent Loop in Azure Logic Apps standard SKU, which means that as you build these applications, they are now ready to go into production. Logic Apps is a platform that has been around for more than a decade, so now you can build these agentic capabilities also on that well-established, proven, enterprise-ready platform. So with that, we'll move to our next demo.
I guess we have one slide first, I think. Right, so we've talked about Agent Loop and the ability to build agentic processes. There's another concept that I'm sure you've heard about this week called MCP, Model Context Protocol. And this allows you to go ahead and connect to your enterprise. Now, if we think about Logic Apps, and one of our core capabilities is our 1,400 plus out-of-box connectors, this becomes quite interesting as you think about connecting to your enterprise. So something that we've recently introduced with both API Center and Foundry is the ability to dynamically go ahead and build an MCP server in Logic Apps, leveraging both our connector library, but also your existing library of workflows that you may have already gone ahead and built. So this is one of those things where we're going to take you through a wizard experience to show you how to do this quickly, but you can also go ahead and enable existing Logic Apps to be MCP enabled as well. So what I'm going to show you on screen here is this is API Center, and we've got a similar experience in Foundry, but I can go ahead and register an MCP server with Azure Logic Apps. So the first thing I'm going to need to go ahead and do is to provide an MCP server name. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Descriptions are always quite useful inside of AI solutions, so I'm going to go ahead and provide that. And then we'll go ahead and select an existing Logic App. If I don't have one, I can go ahead and create one. Now, the next thing I need is I want to go ahead and select a connector. Now, we're going to go ahead and select ServiceNow as our connector. And then we're going to go ahead and select a few different actions here. So we want to create a record, we want to list a record, and we also want to go ahead and update a record. Now, I've selected 3 here, which is important because what we're going to do is generate 3 different workflows and 3 tools as a result. So I'm going to go ahead and select those, and then I need to provide a connection, which I already have. Now, there's a little bit of configuration that we need to go ahead and perform now, and this is largely related to the connector. So if we think about ServiceNow, they have a generic approach to creating a record. I need to now go ahead and select a particular entity or table. So this is where I would want to go ahead and search for incident, and that would allow me to go ahead and create a record for the incident table itself. Now, we also have a series of parameters, and this is why sometimes people say don't just take an API and expose it as an MCP tool, for good reason. Here we've got tens of different properties that would be exposed. That's going to cause confusion for the agent and the model. So we want to just select a specific set of a few parameters, and we'll go ahead and select the assignment group, the short description, and the severity. And then we'll go ahead and click Save. And we can see here that these are going to be provided by the model. So at runtime, those are values that are going to have to be populated as part of that conversation. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and configure these other 2 tools. because I've already gone ahead and provisioned one, but there's two things that happen when you click this register button. One is it gets registered inside of the API portal, inside of API Center. This is going to allow you for discovery. So your developers that might be looking for specific MCP tools or MCP servers, and they're going to, I need to log in again, but they're going to be able to go ahead and select the URL and be able to embed that in their agent. The other thing that happens is we're going to go ahead and create those 3 workflows because we selected 3 different actions. So let's look at the create record instance, and this is going to be a very simple workflow, but there's some important things that we've done here. So one, we've gone ahead and constructed a schema for the request based upon those properties that we selected before. So the short description, the severity, and the assignment group. Now these are going to then be exposed, and when the agent goes and connects to the MCP server, it's going to discover that data that needs to be provided. The next thing that we do is we automatically wire up those request inputs to the action itself. So what this does offer you is the ability to create these workflows, these MCP tools rapidly. Even though you might be very proficient in it, it's something where we're automating the creation of those. They're in Logic Apps. You can go ahead and edit them after the fact. It's completely up to you. The other thing you can do is leverage your existing workflows or create new workflows, and those would be available as MCP tools as well. So I'm going to hand it back over to Divya, where she's actually going to then consume my MCP server as part of her demo.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at another agent that we have built here. It's a conversational agent. It's an agent that helps an organization with its IT operations process. So as you can see, I have more than one agent here, and Logic Apps supports different multi-agent patterns. This is a handoff pattern where which starts with a trigger, and then I have a categorization agent which looks at the incoming request, and then based on the instructions that I've provided it categorizes it and sends it either to the onboarding agent if it's related to device updates, or to the compliance agent if it's related to updating secrets. And in here I have this section called handoffs. So through this you basically define in natural language what conditions or what scenarios are what conditions and scenarios should an agent do the handoff to another one. So here, for example, for onboarding agent, we've just saying that handoff to the onboarding agent when customer has questions about devices. So this is how you can easily build these multi-agent orchestrations. Now the other benefit of a multi-agent pattern is that you can use different models and assign these different models or provide these different models based on what agents are trying to do. And in Logic Apps, you can bring models from Foundry, but you can also bring models whether if they are locally deployed or if they are behind a VNet. So we have a bring your own model concept here where you can bring models from anywhere. And the third option that you have here is to bring models that are behind a API or like AI gateway. So you can also bring, let me show here, right, so I don't have that link open, but you can also bring models that are hosted behind AI gateway so that you can have full governance and visibility and policies into the token utilization. Now let's take a look at each of these agents in more detail. So I have the compliance agent here, and this is the agent which is using the MCP tool that was just created and is going to go ahead and do incident management via ServiceNow. Other than that, it also uses a bunch of other tools in order to get secrets from Key Vault, update secrets. And there is one other interesting one here, which is the Teams action, which basically takes the human approval before the secrets are updated. So here we are using the Teams connector, and we post an adaptive card to basically get human oversight. Now let's take a look at our onboarding agent. So this is an agent that helps employees with device upgrade, and to get the policy around device upgrade, it gets that information from a vector store, which is AI search here. Now when I did the indexing, when I ingested the policy documents in AI search, I used user permissions or ACLs to do that, and now in agent loop I can use the same ACLs, the same permissions to filter those documents. So this is again very powerful because now your agent has access to only the documents that you as a user has access to. So it can never go rogue or can never go and use documents that it should not. The other thing that I want to show is here for the Salesforce connector, we are using per user connection. So this is how on behalf of authentication it works in Logic Apps agent loop, where the agent can always work in the context, in the security context of the user by using these per user connections. So let's go ahead and try this workflow. So here I'm going to go into the chat. This is a chat that is available out of the box in Logic Apps. And so let's go ahead and ask the first question around help with secret updates. So here the agent is coming up with information on what it can do with respect to the secret updates. So next I'm asking the agent to show me the list of secrets so that I can see which one needs to be updated. So here we have all the secrets, and you can see that one of them is near expiry. So let's go ahead and ask the agent to update that secret. So now based on the instructions that we have given to the agent is going to go and go for approval from the human reviewer here, and that's what we'll see in Teams just now. So here we have this approval, so I'll go ahead and approve this secret update. And so now the agent is going to go ahead and make these changes, make the updates, and also it's going to create a ServiceNow incident so that there is full traceability into what the agent is doing as for auditability purposes as well. So here you can see exactly all the steps that agent took as well as all the updates that it did in the systems. So let's see if I go into my ServiceNow here, and so this is my secret. I think I need to refresh it. All right, yeah, so this is the secret that we just updated, and we now have full auditability, traceability through ServiceNow into the actions that agent did. So now let's go ahead and try another scenario here because we had multiple agents there. So there is my chat, all right. So I'm going to ask this agent to help me with some device update as well. Now in this case, the agent is going to get the policy document that I was showing you before. And it's going to do that in the context of me, because the organizations may have different policies around who gets what devices. All right, let's try it one more time. All right, so here I have been in the chat. As you can see, we can show both text and images, and now the agent is showing me all the possible options for me to pick. So here I'll go ahead and go with Microsoft Service. So now what's happening is that the agent is going to create an order in Salesforce for my request. So it's trying to do that, but because it wants me to consent, because it wants to do it in the context of the signed in user, in the context of the user who's chatting. So I'll go ahead and complete this authentication flow. So that's the power here, that the agent is purely working in the context of the user, both in interacting the systems as well as accessing information inside those systems. So I'll go ahead and allow this, and then the agent will complete this order. So in the interest of time, so the order has been created, and it provides us the order number in Salesforce. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to go to Salesforce at the moment, but other thing that I want to show here is that the same agent that I was showing you now, you can deploy in Logic Apps these agents to other surface areas, including Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So here I have this agent, same agent deployed in Teams, and I can do the same set of interactions with this agent inside the Teams. So this is very powerful as you build these agents for your organization to make them available within the area where all employees are and where they interact and chat. So with that, let's move on to our slides. It's main. All right. So what I just showed you is something that a lot of customers we are working with are doing, and one of them is Vertex. They are a leading company in, they are a leading pharmaceutical company, and unfortunately they couldn't join us here. But what they have built is 𝗦𝗲𝗀, their own digital assistant, which helps employees with similar problems where the enterprise knowledge or the enterprise information that they have is scattered around different systems and sources, and the agent they have built is essentially helping to pull all this information together and generating insights on top of it in multi languages. So enabling employees across the globe to interact with these agents and find results. And they are using Logic Apps where Agent Loop, where they have created a multi-agent system that helps them with this process with a human oversight by bringing in the human in the loop that I was just showing you in the demo before. And by doing this, they have been able to accelerate developer productivity in their organization. They have been able to accelerate what their employees are doing by enabling them to make faster decisions, because the information is available to them much easily and in a more accurate and compliant manner. So they can now manage all their content at scale and keeping in adherence to the compliance and the accessibility needs that they have. So we talked about a lot of features today. Agent Loop in Logic App Standard is available in GA. But we have other SKUs. We have a consumption SKU, which is our low barrier to entry, pay-as-you-go multi-tenant SKU. And we have Agent Loop available now in Logic Apps consumption as well in public preview. Along with that, in the demo, we tried to cover a lot of other features that we have announced in public preview at Ignite, including a new designer which provides you a much streamlined experience in how you develop and test your applications, as well as how you troubleshoot your applications. We have support for MCP tools in Agent Loop, which we saw in the demo today. And using these MCP tools, you can use our out-of-box MCP servers, as well as you can bring your own custom MCPs. And regardless of what you're doing, you can still take advantage of on behalf of authentication with them. In terms of building these agents who are secured in every way, we have, of course, OBO to access to interact the systems. We looked at knowledge retrieval with ACLs, which is how you retrieve knowledge with user context. Everything that we showed today was leveraging Microsoft Entra as the security as the authentication layer for us. But we also have support for Okta as the identity provider now. So you can extend or you can expand it not just to Microsoft Entra, but other providers as well. And we have plans to bring more here as well. In terms of models and deployments, you can bring models from Foundry behind API management, as well as you can bring your own models which can be local or behind the VNet. You can deploy these agents to Microsoft Teams or any other A2A based ecosystem. And finally, what Ken showed you before, Foundry control planes. So these agents participate in the bigger Microsoft AI ecosystem, and you can take advantage of Foundry features for the agents that are built in Logic Apps as well.
All right. So just to recap, we showed you a lot today. Hopefully you enjoyed all those demos. Those were fun to build. But what we did sort of see today was that we were able to take sort of existing skill sets, building Logic Apps in a very deterministic way, and now enrich those with agentic capabilities. So for those of you that are already using Logic Apps, this becomes a very quick path to production for your agentic use cases. And we did hear from a customer, Sideris, that has been able to go ahead and demonstrate that extremely well. It was super impressive to hear how their journey and how quickly they've been able to go ahead and leverage this capability. Now, there's also some broader themes here too. We saw MCP servers as a way to go ahead and to connect your enterprise. And so if you think about how you standardize data access in your organizations, this is a great way for you to go ahead and leverage that, where you're able to build these predefined paths to your line of business systems and then be able to go ahead and govern them and also be able to make them discoverable so that you don't have people that are rebuilding those redundantly. And then last, we did see this whole breadth of investments that are being made. So we did talk about GA for Logic Apps Agent Loop in Logic Apps Standard. So you can go ahead and use that today. But we're not stopping there. As you can see, there's a lot of innovation that are coming down the path as well. So we do want to leave you with this particular QR code. This is going to take you to our Logic Apps Lab website. And you're going to see a whole series of different curriculum that you can access free of charge. One is our Agent Loop in a Day, where we'll take you through sort of step-by-step process of how you can build an agentic business process around IT service management using ServiceNow. But we also have additional use cases and labs as well. So that multi-agent handoff experience that Divya discussed, that's in there. Connecting to MCP servers, that's in there as well. We've got both autonomous and conversational. Today we talked about conversational. Don't forget about autonomous. Leverage our existing large library of connectors and triggers to sort of kick off a process, infuse agentic, reach out to humans as needed. That's also available as well. So do go check that out, and feel free to connect with us. We'd be happy to engage and answer any questions, whether here or after the event as well. So thank you all for joining us here today.
Thank you.